Hello and welcome back to my series of Who is Dayna? And this is the fourth part of the series, and we left off where I was learning who I am on my own, living on my own, and now we're gonna move into how I found even more of who I am. It's what changed me and what started this whole series of childbirth, fertility, all the things. So let's get into it. So basically, I was still at Ferguson for the most part, and I was still living on my own. And Ferguson, this was in 2008 when the economy was really not good. We had the market crash, a lot of things were happening, and we started downsizing. So at Ferguson, I was a branch trainer. I was training people. I absolutely loved my job. I am a teacher at heart, and I found a niche to call my own. And because we weren't hiring people, I had to go back into more of a showroom environment, a sales environment, as an operations, purchasing, just an assistant helping. And it got kind of boring, I'll tell you the truth. So I moved to a company called AstraZeneca, not AstraZeneca, it was a inside sales pharmaceutical company where we called on pharmacists. So I did that for a little while, maybe 2 years. And I met a really fun friend there. He was gay and fabulous. And he moved to a merchant services company, and he invited me to go there, and I went. And that's where I met my husband. So life takes you in a lot of different turns and directions, and you just have to really feel it in your gut and in your being to know if you need to change. So I'm glad I changed. I'm glad I left Ferguson and went, and because I was able to find my husband. When I met him, I just thought we were going to be friends. I didn't think anything of it. And I was training him at work, and I was multitasking, doing a bunch of things, getting on a call with a customer, finishing up some information, writing a thank you card to mail out to customers. And he's like, "What are you doing?" That's so much work. But we ended up just connecting. And here's a picture from our wedding day. His name is David Rubin. I've made some videos with him about being a partner in the birth process. So those are some older videos at the beginning, and those are on YouTube. So that's when I first started my YouTube channel. But we had this connection, and he's 6 months older than me, so we were pretty even and connected in age. We both didn't have kids. We both knew that we wanted to have kids and that we wanted to start a life together. So we made it happen. We moved in together before we got married. That was a little risque from from my parents' perspective, because I grew up within this religious environment, and that's a big no-no. But as I moved into the relationship, I knew that I wasn't going to go backwards. I was going to go forwards. So we got engaged in February, Valentine's Day of 2016. We got married the same year, and we moved in. We bought a place together in 2017. So the first thing we did is we got a dog. So our dog is now 8 years old. And that really created that fur baby mentality that made me a fur baby mom. And it was good. It feels good. So if you feel like you're blocked and you're not sure how you're moving into that next step of fertility, get a pet or get a plant. Get something that you have to take care of, that you can't leave for 5 or 6 months and come back and they're going to be okay. Get something that you have to tend to, and it will really help you with the aspects of parenthood. So when we got married, I was 36 years old. So again, late bloomer. I talk about that on many of my my videos. And I started connecting with the spirit babies that were coming in. The spirit babies, they came in, I could feel them, they connected with me. I started learning a lot more about that aspect of fertility. I thought it was just physical. And most of us do. We think it's just physical. You just, you track your ovulation and you do this, and this. But it wasn't just about the body. There was a lot more going on in the background. And because I had done all that work living on my own, I knew that I could tend to a different aspect of fertility. It was esoteric, it was energy, it was frequency, it was vibration. And those are the building blocks of the universe, according to Tesla, who was a genius in his own right. So I learned about all these things. So I knew that it wasn't just physical. So as we were tapping into the practicing towards pregnancy part of our marriage, we realized that trying to conceive was horrible. I've made a ton of videos about this, but it was not an energetic match to becoming pregnant. So I stopped saying it. When I went to my gynecologist, OBGYN, who I had for many years, probably 15 years, she said to, don't stop drinking. Don't stop doing what you're doing. If anything, have a glass of vodka. I thought that was crazy. But she said that, and I thought it was funny. So basically, I let loose, and I had a little bit more fun, and I created the vibe of fertility in my life. And fertility goes hand in hand with receiving. So that receiving mode that I talked about in the last video, that came in very handy because I was allowing things to come to me. I was the egg in the womb, waiting patiently in the dark for the ninja sperm, to come in and connect. And I was just there as a magnet. And as women, we are magnets. We are, the letter M is for magnetism, motherhood, and it's also the 13th letter in the alphabet. So our number as mothers is 13. And it's been demonized, that number. It's been taken over, but it is a beautiful number. We're actually supposed to have 13 months in our calendar. So think about that. And there's a lot of things that you learn when you go through these steps. And that's one of the reasons why I created this platform, so that I could share all the little nuances that I learned. So as we went through, we connected with, I connected more with the actual spirit baby. And this was our firstborn. And I've showed his picture before. This is Dean. And he was our firstborn. And he is a handful in a wonderful way. He's a manifestor in human design. And I can, I can do a video on that. But he comes in blazing, and he's curious. He's a Gemini. He's all the things. So it was beautiful to connect with him because he showed me so many beautiful things while I was pregnant. He showed me that the violet flame would help him. Archangel Zadkiel works with the violet flame, and that will help him when he's coming in to calm him down. So that was very helpful. And when I tapped into his essence, I could feel like he wasn't going anywhere. The first trimester, my first pregnancy, I was spotting a lot. And I wasn't bed rest per se, but it was low activity. And I had just been let go from a job, and I went back to Ferguson. One reason, because I needed a position that was just mind easy. Like I know the system, I knew people, it was easy for me. So I went full circle back to the plumbing company that I started with. But I was also able to really connect with different aspects of my life because of that. So after a year, we got pregnant again with Devin, and this is Devin. So we don't put our children on social media as they grow up. We just have the baby pictures up. Because we did announcements, so we just have the baby pictures up. So you'll probably never see the kids unless you get on my Christmas list, my mailing list. And that's a personal mailing list. But we do those things. And not necessarily blasting them on social media for a lot of reasons. But anyways, Devin came in, and he was our second son. And I got nothing from him. I had to search. Like I could connect with his essence, and I connected with past lives that he had. There were certain times when I was pregnant and I wasn't hungry at all, and I realized that he had several lifetimes where he starved. And because the spirit baby connects with the essence of the fetus, they bring in and they connect with their past lives as they come in to the womb, and they start connecting their soul with the fetus, with the actual baby, the incoming baby that's being grown in the womb. So I didn't gain any weight. At a certain point, I was at 176 pounds. I'll never forget it. And I stopped gaining weight, but the baby was growing. So that's important. I wouldn't recommend people, try to diet when they're pregnant. That wasn't what I was trying to do, though. I just wasn't hungry. And I could tap into his essence, and I was melding with him, because when the baby comes in, you meld with them, you meld with their energy. And I could feel that he wasn't hungry. He didn't want to eat. So basically, I didn't gain any weight and he gained. So that was beautiful. So the babies came in and they were fantastic. And I started this channel, and everything blossomed and bloomed from there. So I wanted to stop there. There's a lot of more details. I basically packed 46 years worth of information in I think 5 videos. But what I want to say is that that's my journey of where I got here. I left out a lot of boring things, and I left out a lot of things that I may not want to share on YouTube, but for the most part, that was the journey. The most important thing I learned was self-love. So if I can teach humanity one thing in this beautiful life that I have been able to live, it is that when you come back home to yourself, you find everything you need. So thank you for being here with me on Who is Dayna, my series. And if this was interesting to you, if you heard something that was interesting, like the human design piece or certain things that I learned along the way, and if you want me to make more videos about that, please let me know in the comments. And you can find me on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and Rumble. And my website is daynarubin.com. So thank you so much for being here. Please join my newsletter. It's on my website. It pops up, and you can just put in your email address and join my newsletter. And I send one newsletter out a month, just to connect and to share some ideas that I have. Thank you so much for being here, and many blessings to you.